Rogan will put it in play. Back set, tip, and in. Up and over the double block by Anderson for the Blue Raiders. Well-placed ball. 5-3 is the score. 5-3 on the scoreboard. Indiana Wesleyan now hitting .317 as a team. They're going to go on a right side cross-court attack from Egebrecht, handled. Push back, Indiana Wesleyan resets, and blocked back and in. Predominantly in on the block there was Hain, and that is a point for the Blue Raiders. Blue Raiders with the point. That puts the score at Indiana Wesleyan 5 and Lindsey Wilson 4. Lindsey Wilson up in the set, up in the match, 1-0. Left side cross court, dug out of bounds by the libero for Lindsey Wilson. King, point Indiana Wesleyan, 5-4. So these two teams have been pretty tight all night long in terms of the score margin. Biggest lead was 5 briefly for Lindsey Wilson, but that was cut down to 3, which ended up being the margin of victory, 25-22 in the first for Lindsey Wilson. Out of bounds by Indiana Wesleyan. Point back to Lindsey. They'll substitute a couple players in. They're going to send into the contest, I believe that's number 6, Collins, back to serve. And then Nashiva will rotate back across the front row. Both coaches are now up coaching their teams. Here's the serve taken by Brandis. Set on the outside, cross-court cutter. Good play by King on the 10-foot spike line. Tip back by Indiana Wesleyan, resetting Lindsey. Power tip to the dark corner, nobody home. And that's a point for the Blue Raiders, and they now have tied the match up at 6 apiece. 6 apiece here in the second set of the night. Here on New Lion and the NAIA Network. Glad to have you along from Sioux City, Iowa. Here's the serve, middle back taken, whistle, and an overlap. Indiana Wesleyan had an overlap, which means one of their players was not where she was supposed to be in their serve-receive rotation. And you don't see the call a lot, so it's usually fairly obvious when it is called. And our down official with the call. So here's the serve and handled by Indiana Wesleyan. Tipped out of the middle. Trying that was Egebrecht. Blocked back on the return by Blue Raiders. Joust at the net, handled. Wesleyan, outside attack. Corner shot, not going to make it in for Ray Brandis. She had the right idea there, though. She was trying to go to the back left, but it just caromed out of bounds, or curved out of bounds, I should say. You could probably see the ball angle right there on the video shot. You had a pretty good angle of it. It's 8-6 now in favor of Lindsey Wilson here in the second set. Serve taken, Indiana Wesleyan outside. That time she goes back to the middle of the court, Ray Brandis, and powers it off the block and down. Ray Brandis with her 5th kill, hitting .375. Tavo has 5 kills, hitting 6 1/4. 4 kills for Collicott. And the serve for Indiana Wesleyan. Little indecision on how to play the ball, but they do, and they'll go power middle and a well-read block, Ray Brandis, who shuffled over from the left side, yes, and blocked it out of the middle. And that puts our score at 8-all. Serve receive for Lindsey Wilson. Struggling a little bit to get the clean handle. They end up having to free ball it over. Left side attack, and there's a kill for Brandis. And right now, Lindsey Wilson is kind of caught between what do we do? Do we come up on Ray Brandis on the outside and commit and really, have to get her hands on the block? Because if we don't, she's got the back corner. So they got a little bit of maybe some defensive adjustments to do to the Blue Raiders, but that'll help. They'll get the side out. That's going to be Nashiva, their big hitter. She'll come back with the side out to knot it back up at 9-all. So when you get Brandis and Nashiva in their hot spots, if you will, both teams are pretty tough to beat. And right now, both got them in the front row. So this is kind of one of those times of the set where both want to hold serve. Here's the set, middle, and that's going to be a big block back. Nicely done there by Tavo, by Meeks and by Nashiva out of the middle. And that's a point for Lindsey Wilson. And they're up by 1, 10-9 is the score. Here's the serve, 10-foot spike line, set, left, cross court, and it's in for Ray Brandis. So Indiana Wesleyan gets a side out to tie the score at 10-all. 10-all the score. First set went to Lindsey Wilson, 25-22 here tonight. This match about 39 minutes old. Here's the set by Just on the outside, and that's going to be Nashiba. Adi Nashiba off the block and a point. 11-10, Lindsey Wilson. Well, you couldn't put two more evenly matched teams out there. They almost are mirrors of each other. Just got a lot of the same weapons, a lot of the same style. Here's the serve taken. Here's the set, left side. That's a middle back attack, and it's going to bounce through a couple times and be played out of bounds. So that goes back to Indiana Wesleyan's Tavo, who will get credit for the kill. And that'll be her 6th, I believe, of the night. We'll see if it updates here. Maybe 5th. Played out of bounds. 11 up. 11-11 is the score. Serve taken. Here's the bump set on the outside by Just. Cross court there for Anderson, and it's going to be out of bounds. Now there's a play there where you saw Indiana Wesleyan's number 11, Colacott. She went around the official stand. She could have played that back if she wanted to. That's called pursuit. As long as you get around and play it back cleanly to your side of the net. She couldn't quite get there, but you don't see that very often. But there are some athletic players here that can do it, and that was very close. As you can tell, the courts are very wide here, so there's a boatload of room to play with at the Tyson Event Center. All three courts are exactly the same in terms of dimensions. Indiana Wesleyan has the ball on the set here, and they'll go middle attack and a kill for Tavo. Christiana Tavo. So Tavo's had a little bit of the hot hand. That's her 6th kill. 12-12. Tavo has 6 kills on 9 swings. She is hitting at a 667 clip here. Very impressive. Serve for Brandis. Handled by Lindsey Wilson. They'll have to bump it, though, on the outside, and that's a nice cross-court cut shot that goes in for Taylor Hain. Taylor Hain puts the ball in on the cross-court cutter. And the serve will belong to Lindsey Wilson. 13-12 is our score. Little pop shot to the spike line. Set back by Holler, and a kill for Tavo. Now, Christiana Tavo kind of the go-to right now, and a 13-13 score in set number 2. Again, the opening set went to Lindsey Wilson, 25-22. Both teams both coaches giving some instruction. Here's the set on the outside, and what do we got here? Into the tape. 4-hit call on Lindsey Wilson. 4-hit call on Lindsey Wilson. Point to Indiana Wesleyan. That puts the Wildcats out in front, 14-13. Here's the set. They're going to run a quick middle for Moorhead. Block back. Reset the outside. Rolls the tape. Must have been touched. Lindsey will reset. Free. Pushed over into the back corner. Here's the set by Indiana Wesleyan. Up and over the double block. We had a whistle first and a 4-hit call. Point to Lindsey Wilson. And that knots it back up at 14-14. Little tighter than set 1, although it did get tight near the end. Again, Lindsey had a 5-point lead in the first set at one point, 21-16. That serve played out of bounds by the Wildcats, and that extends the lead to 15-14, Lindsey Wilson. This one's pretty much been tick for tack the whole way. Here's the serve by Lindsey Wilson. Anderson, my apologies. Middle set for Indiana Wilson. Egebrecht dug up. Lindsey Wilson will reset, push it over. Here's the libero in the back, Brandis. And up and over the top. Brandis, wow, about took Egebrecht out. We're still playing though. Indiana Wesleyan tries to free it out of the back row. And it will be into the net and a point for Lindsey Wilson. 16-14 the score, and a timeout will be taken by Candace Moats and the Indiana Wesleyan University bench. With our score, again, Lindsey Wilson 16, Indiana Wesleyan 14. That was a dangerous play there, Brandis. She kind of climbed up and over the back of Egebrecht. Glad she's okay. Student athletes come first in the NAIA. Their needs, desires, and ambitions guide our every decision. They are the inspiration that drives us to make character a core component and benefit of all intercollegiate sports. Register to get in the game if you're a high school student or transferring to the NAIA. Go to playnaia.org. That's the NAIA Eligibility Center. Learn more there, playnaia.org. And in the NAIA, student athletes stand for something when they compete. They stand for integrity, respect, responsibility, sportsmanship, and servant leadership. Learn more about the NAIA and the Champions of Character program on the web at championsofcharacter.org. Lindsey Wilson up by 2 and up in the match, 1-0. Will come out to serve here out of the timeout by Candace Moats. Sarah Anderson is on the stripe, and she'll put it in play. Back row taken by Brandis. Here's the right side, kind of a half a slide there to Egebrecht, and she'll kind of roll it down. Looked like she was going to maybe go to the pin a little more aggressively, and then she pulled up, and she found a spot. She probably saw something on the way up and said, hey, I'm just going to kind of go here. Well played. 16-15 is the score. And here's a service coming for Indiana Wesleyan, and this is going to be Troyer. We haven't seen a lot of her tonight. Troyer, she wears number 4. Here's the back row play. It's going to be pushed over on a free ball. Set by Just. Powered out of the middle. That was an attempt there by Moorhead. Back to Lindsey Wilson. Black back by Indiana Wesleyan, and they're going to get it down. Let's get a number there. Main one in on that was Egebrecht, Kristen Egebrecht. And that's a 16-16 tie on the block. So the timeout was advantageous for Candace Moats because it was a 2-point lead, and now it's back to a tie ball game, but a net serve. Neither team's probably being super aggressive on the serve because it's been a tight match, so you don't maybe take as many risks there. But 17-16, Lindsey Wilson will go to the service line. Both teams pretty good serving teams. Usually are if you're in the national tournament. 92% serve for Lindsey. And Indiana Wesleyan at about 89% on the year. Here's the set for Indiana Wesleyan, and a little spin shot that lands right off the spike line, and that's a point, 17-17. This has been a match of finding spots on the floor, no question. Lindsey Wilson serving. Indiana Wesleyan serving near court. Serve played in the back row by the Blue Raiders. They'll set up the outside cross court by Nashiva, and it's going to be out of bounds. No tip, and that's a point to Indiana Wesleyan, and they're back out in front, 18-17. 18-17 is the score. Service will go with Egebrecht. Ooh, scrambling on this one. Good serve. Free ball for Indiana Wesleyan. Can they go up by 2? Yes, on a spot shot off the left side by number 1, Ray Brandis. And, of course, that's a rotation you want if you're a Wildcat. Ray Brandis on the outside. 19-17 is the score. Serve taken by King. Here's the set. Off the block and a side out for Lindsey Wilson. So they go back to their main go-to, Adi Nashiva, and she'll put her home. And it's a 19-18 score. Lindsey Wilson serving, down 1. Up in the match, though, 1-0 at a 25-22 final in the first. Here's the serve by Angel, and she put it into the net. Net serve, 20-18. Indiana Wesleyan now, first to 20, and they're back to serve. Looks like the server is going to be number 14, which is the setter, Katie Holler. Serve taken. Here's the set. Power tip middle. Played Indiana Wesleyan once, but not twice. It goes into the divider net on the left side, and that's a point for the Blue Raiders. 1-point ball game. 20-19 is the score. 20-19. Serve will go with Lindsey Wilson and Just. Here's her serve. Middle back taken. Set. Right side, off the block, back to Indiana Wesleyan. They'll reset. Left side, Down the back corner, Tavo, played by Lindsey Wilson. They're going to go and just pick on the libero. They kind of got an ISO there on the libero, number 12, Rebecca Brandis, and she was just kind of left there to put her hands up in the air and say, uh-oh. And that's going to be a kill, and it knots the score up at 20-20. No blocker in front of her. That's never a fun spot to be in. Here comes the serve for number 21, Just. Set to the spike line for a free ball. Here's Lindsey Wilson. Set outside. And a block back on the big swing by Nashiva for Indiana Wesleyan. And the Wildcats are back up by 1. 21-20 is our score. 21-20 the score. And the serve for Brandis. Taken out of the back. Here's the set. Cross-court roll. Indiana Wesleyan outside and into the back corner. It's out of bounds by the line judge. No tip at the nets. And a point to Lindsey Wilson. Indiana Wesleyan pleading their case for a tip, but not there. The attack was made on the outside by Christiana Tavo. Very close. 21-21 is the score. So 4 points away for one of these two teams. Service taken by Brandis. Here's the set. Tavo that time will power it off the block, but back to Indiana Wesleyan. Back row attack, roll shot for Brandis. Bumped around a couple of times and a free ball. Brandis, holler, outside, and no tip. That time there was a tip. That time there was a tip off the block for Tavo, and Indiana Wesleyan goes up 22-21. 22-21 Indiana Wesleyan. So kind of almost the same play. Just that time it did catch some fingertips. And back to serve is Brandis. Set, outside tip, Doug. Set, left, tip, Doug. Pushed on the outside, free ball. Handled once, set on the outside. Indiana Wesleyan reaches over the antenna, and that's a huge play out there for Colacott. And a timeout taken by head coach Andy Cavins and the Lindsey Wilson bench. Our score is Indiana Wesleyan 23 and Lindsey Wilson 21. 23-21 here in the second set. Lindsey Wilson won the first one 25-22. Let's go to the stats. Indiana Wesleyan almost right at 300 now for the match, 299. They have 29 kills, as does Lindsey Wilson. Digs are even at 26. Still 4 aces for Lindsey Wilson to no aces for Indiana Wesleyan. Individually, Ray Brandis, 10 kills for the Wildcats. 8 for Tavo. A lot of kills in the second set for Christiana Tavo. Kill leader for Lindsey Wilson, Nashiva. Adi Nashiva and Sarah Anderson both have 8. Meeks and Moorhead each have 5. Okay. Timeout broken. That was taken by the Blue Raiders. They trail by 2. Lindsey Wilson does, and Indiana Wesleyan will go back to the service line with the libero, Rebecca Brandis. We have a libero, Rebecca Brandis. The setter, or the outside hitter, is Ray Brandis. So if you're hearing that name a couple of times tonight, that would be why. Here's the serve, handled. Here's the set by Just on the outside, and Indiana Wesleyan on a big, big block, closing it down out there on Hain. And Hain really, double check her stats here, hasn't really gotten going here tonight. And that's a point to make it 24-21. And this is set point and an ace. An ace will end it, and it is a knotted up match, 25-21, the final in favor of Indiana Wesleyan. So Lindsey Wilson wins the first, Indiana Wesleyan wins the second, and we go to set number 3 here in Sioux City, and it's now a best-of-3 match. So that will be a final, 25-21 in set number 2. We'll just, again, let you listen to the sounds of the Tyson Event Center as we step aside. We'll have some more stats, and set 3 coming up in just a moment. Welcome back to Sioux City on the NAI Network from New Lyon. We move to set number 3 here tonight between Indiana Wesleyan University and Lindsey Wilson. And we are knotted up. 25-22, Lindsey Wilson in the first. 25-21 in favor of Indiana Wesleyan in the second. Let's go to the stats. Leading the way for Lindsey Wilson tonight, Sarah Anderson has 8 kills along with Adi Nashiva. And then also with 5 apiece, Meeks and Moorhead. 10 kills for Ray Brandis. That's Indiana Wesleyan's leader. She's hitting .471 on 17 swings. And we have 8 kills for Christiana Tavo, hitting .500. And also 4 kills for Egebrecht and 3 for Buckner, 5 for Sarah Cullicott. Pretty balanced attack ledger for Indiana Wesleyan. Pretty much right in there for Lindsey Wilson, although, a couple of big leaders in there with Nashiva and Anderson at 8 apiece. So, as far as the hitting percentages, Indiana Wesleyan is hitting .309 now. Lindsey Wilson has gone to .216. And again, all the other stats are virtually deadlocked, and that would reflect on the scoreboard. Kind of a tale of 2 sets so far. 25-22 Lindsey in the first, 25-21 in the second for Indiana Wesleyan. So we have decided nothing. We are even up at 1-1, best of 3. And here we go, Indiana Wesleyan with the first serve. Right side attack and off the kill for Nashiva and down. So we'll see how the coaches have adjusted, see what kind of rotations they'll go to here in terms of trying to get some looks for some of their players. Nashiva with that kill, obviously one big player that Coach Cavens needs for the Blue Raiders to have a big third set here. On the outside, Indiana Wesleyan tried to tip, pushed back. Indiana Wesleyan resets, up and over the block on that one was Brandis, handled. West side attack for Lytavakova, and it's handled. That's a new player, haven't had her yet tonight. She's gonna go again. And blocked back, Lytavakova. And again, bumped up. She'll push it over again. Dug up by her into the block. Pushed at the net. Trying to power it through there was Meeks. Here's the handle by Indiana Wesleyan. Outside, the other number 2, that's Tavo. Handled by Lindsey Wilson. Left side, right, trying to hammer it through was the Blue Raiders. Tipped at the net by Indiana Wesleyan. Long volley. Right side attack. Little tip at the line and down. And a kill for Sarah Anderson. Dasha Lytakova. Lytakova is in the ball game. She is a 5'11" junior from the Ukraine. So Coach Andy Cavens kind of going with a different look here. Here's the set. Going up high for Indiana Wesleyan was Remy Buckner, and Buckner will power it down. Lindsey Wilson leads it 2-1 here in the third. And back to serve on the far side will be Indiana Wesleyan University. Approaching the 1 hour mark here of our final set of matches tonight. Serve taken. Here's the set by Just. Cross-court cutter by Meeks, handled out of the back row. Indiana Wesleyan to the net. Just tried to dump it, handled. Libero, Brandis handles, tip at the net. Roll shot, I should say. Right side attack, cutter, Doug. Pushed over at the net. Back to the middle goes Lindsey Wilson. Handled back, though, off the block. Resetting Indiana Wesleyan. There's a push through by Tavo, handle, back to her in the middle. Actually, I'm sorry, back to Buckner in the middle, and Buckner with the kill. 2-2 on the kill, Remy Buckner. Indiana Wesleyan will have the service. Ball up in the air, serve taken. Bumped on the outside by Just, and out of bounds on the attack for Lytakova. And what's the call? Yellow card has been issued on the floor on Lindsey Wilson. Probably something was said. Yellow card has been issued, which is essentially a warning. It's 3-2. 3-2 our score in favor of Indiana Wesleyan. Blue Raiders take the serve. Right side, big swing out there by Anderson, handled by Indiana Wesleyan. They try to dump it, it's handled. Here's Just on the set middle, little cross quarter. That was from number 2, Meeks, handled, free ball back. Just again, setting on the outside, Litakova, and she'll put it down. Litakova off the dig. And that's a point. It's 3-3 on the scoreboard. Lindsey Wilson won the first set, 25-22. Indiana Wesleyan won the second, 25-21. Serve, short, spike line, handled. Out of the middle, Remy Buckner. And that's going to be a kill for her, and she'll check out. Back to serve will be Rebecca Brandis. 4-3, Indiana Wesleyan. Set 3 here tonight. Serve taken, set, powered through the middle, but dug out of the back row. That attack from Moorhead. Scrambling is Lindsey Wilson on the return. They're not going to be able to return the ball back. Point goes to Indiana Wesleyan. They lead by 2, 5-3 is our score. 5-3 the score. Service again for IWU. Here's the set by Just, right side, up and over the block to the middle. Scrambling a little bit, Indiana Wesleyan this time, free ball. Just, set, middle, and off the, I'm not sure that ever got tipped or not, but it was a big swing out of the middle for number 4, Kaylee Moorhead, who gets 2.9 kills per set on average and hits a whopping .418 on the season. That's very, very impressive. Service handled. 5-4 in favor of Indiana Wesleyan. Off the block for the Wildcats. Doug back up to the net. Just set. Middle Moorhead tries to power it to the back corner. Handled. Outside. Cutter down the line and in. Cutter in for Christiana Tavo. 1.68 kills per set. Substitutions here to both sides as Indiana Wesleyan goes back to serve. So here we go. Indiana Wesleyan will have the serve. They lead this one by 2. Serve handled. Set on the left side. And a kill for Dasha Litakova. Maybe trying to bring a little more power to one of those rotations on the outside. A little different look when Nishiva is not in there. And, of course, that rotation moves. And here comes Nishiva back in. Nishiva's had some success on the outside tonight. Looking at her stats here, she has had 9 kills. Serve taken. Here's the set by Holler. Lindsey Wilson handles. They're going to go push it into the back corner and down. Well, there's been a lot of that play tonight. Just trying to get the overcommit up front and push it into the dark corners. Keep the defense honest on those things. If they creep and creep and creep up, and then all of a sudden you burn them to the back corner. Serve out of bounds for Lindsey Wilson, and that is Collins.